What's up guys, welcome back to another classic episode of Think Tank Thursday, where I basically unload 12 years of parkour knowledge onto you. It's extremely deep thinking and just give you every bit of my knowledge from my 12 years of parkour experience and help you avoid all of the pitfalls that I've fallen into and give you all the ideas that can help you speed up your training massively. And today, we are going to focus on how to get constant joy out of your training sessions. Now, the problem with these titles is that it's very difficult. I'm going to do what it says on the tin, but usually, and today specifically, I'm going to be going extremely deep on these concepts, and it's the title doesn't do it justice to just how deep we're going to go. So stick with me and watch the entire video. I guarantee you're going to get some deep insight from this video. So yeah, stick with me as I explain how to do this on a very deep level. Now, this video doesn't just go for parkour, it's for pretty much everything in life, but we're going to focus on parkour specifically and how it relates to parkour. The thing is, parkour is extremely enjoyable most of the time, but there's definitely days when you go out and you're like trying to progress and it's not as fun and it really starts to feel like a chore. And there are definitely whole entire periods of training where it feels like more of a chore and just something that you are doing because it's what you do, and then you feel like you have to do it, or you don't want to get left behind and you want to keep progressing, or you're just unhappy with your progress or anything like that. We're gonna sort all of that out today. We're gonna stop you from having those off sessions, stop you from losing the joy for the thing that brings you so much joy. So what we're going to cover today is the idea of living in a MetaTag world versus living in a phenomenological world. Now, I'm going to have to explain these to you. I'm going to have to explain these concepts, and just stick with me while we go a little deeper on these things. Some of the stuff I say might sound a little bit woo-woo, it might sound a little bit hippy-dippy sometimes, but I can assure you that this is concrete, applicable, practical, ideal stuff. It just sounds a little woo-woo because it's concepts that you might not have heard before, and it's not usually how we think of things in day-to-day life, especially like if we just haven't had that input from anyone yet. So what is MetaTag World? So basically, we live on two different planes of existence. We have our mind, and we have all of the boxes and the ideas and the concepts and the words for those things, and that's all held in our mind. And then we also have this other plane of existence, which is in our body, to use a term that doesn't quite capture the idea, but gets you started. We live in our body and we have our senses. We have touch, taste, smell, sight, feeling. We have all of these different inputs that we can feel that actually have nothing to do with our mind's description of them. And when we have our mind's description of them, to have the language that we have, to have the communication that we have to use tags, we have to use words to represent the things that are in our reality, so that we can describe them to people. It's very useful so that we can communicate, so that we can, that basically exist together harmoniously. But the problem is, when you define things with signs, i.e. words, for the thing itself, you get caught up in conceptions rather than the actuality of the thing. So when I pick up a ball, this isn't a ball. Ball is a sound, ball is a word. This is the feel of this round thing. It's the hardness, it's the texture, it's the sound, it's all of that. But what I'm using right now is words to describe the phenomenological, which is the actual feeling of it. I can't describe to you how this ball feels in my hand. I can use words, but you don't feel the ball. You don't feel it in my hand. You can't describe the taste of honey to someone and then have them actually feel the taste of honey on their tongue, right? So this is the difference between a MetaTag world and a and a phenomenological world. The phenomenological is the touch, is the taste, is the smell, is the sound, it's the feeling, it's everything you come in contact with, it's the actual direct experience versus the word that points to that experience, right? And to live, why am I calling it MetaTag World? I'm calling it MetaTag World because if you are living in the world and all you see, for example, when you walk down a forest, say you walk down through a forest and your mind is just going tree, 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 tree. And because it's got roughly a brown stick and roughly some green leaves, you think that you are just seeing the same tree over and over and over again. You might think, oh yeah, tree, different tree, different tree. But what your mind is doing is it's just categorizing and going tree, 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 rather than actually walking through and experiencing each tree for every little tiny difference that it actually has. And what happens is that when you have all of these labels, when you're a fully fledged human being and you now have a full lexicon of words and descriptions of everything, you walk around seeing things as the word. And this is a very dry, lifeless, soulless place to live. And most of us live here. Most of us, when we get past a certain adulthood, lose our wonder, lose our fascination, lose the magic of the world. And a massive part of that is because of this meta-tag living, this kind of walking through life with only the labels and not being able to experience the true depth of every single difference that there actually is. Because, you know, it goes further than like just, oh, we have a normal cat and a Siamese cat and a tabby cat. I don't know, different types of cats. I don't know why I use that example, but it goes further than that because each individual Siamese cat is going to be vastly different to the next one. And to simplify the world, it's useful to have these tags. It's useful to have these descriptions to simplify things so that we can get stuff done. But if you live there all of the time, you're gonna suck the very happiness, the very soul, the very magic out of everyday life every single time. I think I'm getting to a point where I've described this fairly well. It's a difficult thing to describe, but I hope you're getting the idea that we have the two realms of existence, the one where we walk around with our names for everything, and the one where we actually interact and have a visceral, concrete experience with it. And the trick is to be able to turn the mind off and get it to the point where it's experiencing the true reality of what's in front of it and not just its descriptions and preconceived judgments of it. Because the reason a child is full of wonder is because they're walking around and they don't have the labels for everything yet. So every single tree is different to them. They're not seeing like, oh, tree, and oh, I've already seen trees before. They're not special to me anymore because I've seen them before. And like every single day, every single moment is different to the last. And every single time you see a tree, you're a different person to when you were seeing trees before. The trees are different. They're in different lights. Every single tree is different to every other little tree. And on the surface of it, this seems kind of like pointless. Like it doesn't matter. Like, oh, what? I'm just going to go looking around for the different knots in every different tree. What would be the point in that? That doesn't get me further. That doesn't get me closer to my goals. That doesn't get me anything new, or that doesn't get me anything tangible. That doesn't get me more money. That doesn't get me more fame or style, or it doesn't get me any better, right? But you're missing the point. The very fact that your orientation is goals and betterness and money and like these measurements that we have of success is what is going to strip the soul from your life. It's what's going to strip the purity of interaction with everyday life, with everyday objects, with everything that you experience in your life. If you're constantly goal orientated and you're constantly like, and take this from someone who is always been massively goal orientated, and the problem is, like I say, it just sucks life from you because you're shooting for these representations of life, your ideas about them, rather than the actual thing themselves. I think we're getting there. So there's several things that this can be used for when it comes to parkour, and when it comes to making your jumps better and making your parkour more enjoyable. So, I mean, I've talked in the past about deboxing your jumps, meaning like you don't just view a Kong Pre as a Kong Pre. You remove the label, remove the box, remove the meta tag, and go into the fact that actually every Kong Pre is unique, every movement is unique, every single time you Kong a different rail and land in a different position, that is unique. Every time you do the same one, it's still unique because your body handles it a bit differently, because it's got different inputs, because it understands it better, it understands it differently. So every single time you do a move, it's different, and every single Kong Pre you do will be different, and you learn a lot from each and every Kong Pre, but every environmental difference is the phenomenological, right? And your connection with that is what's important. Now, this helps massively with creativity, and I've talked about this before, this helps massively with just rather than thinking like I need to go out and do these specific moves, it allows you to free yourself and just say, I'm just gonna move across this space, I'm just gonna cross here from A to B, and all of a sudden you're coming up with all the different ways that will be fun to do that, and it's a new environment. And this is particularly difficult when you've been to a spot 100 times, and this is why it's great to travel, it's great to go to different towns, because it unhooks you from those standard, like this is that in that place and this is this in that place, and I know everything about this spot currently, you know what I mean? Like at my level, this is all I can do. The point is, when you remove those tags, when you remove those labels, especially in the spots that you have been to before, it unchains you from the ideas you already have about that spot, and it allows you to create new movements and new ideas. And not only that, but when you're not thinking about all these different moves in the ways that you normally think about them, they start to meld together. You start to just be like, the less definition you can have about the line, about the movement, about what you want to do and where you want to go, the more creative you're going to be, and the more you're gonna find joy in your training, because you're not just checking off these boxes of, yes, I've done that, yes, I've done this. It's such a robotic checklist way of going about things, and it's gonna suck the joy out of every single movement. Think back to when you first started parkour. You're there like, wow, this is brand new, that's brand new, and it's all brand new because you don't have the ideas about it yet. It's all like, wow, my body can do that, wow, my body can do this. Oh, cool, I'm gonna use the label Kong so I know what I'm trying to learn. But after that, if you're just like, right, I'm going to this spot, cool, there's a Kong Pre there, done that, or can't do that, I'll get over the fear quick, do the Kong Pre, yay, done the Kong Pre, check. That is a severely limited way of training, severely limited way of moving in general, and it's gonna strip you of the joy. It's going to strip you of the pleasure of doing these moves. And you see it in some athletes. They're just like, oh, you know, where's the this move that I'm working on right now? Where's the that move? And don't get me wrong, been there, totally been there. This is all things that I have gone through and that I've realized have been so bad and so detrimental to my training. Which is why I'm bringing it to you, so that you don't get stuck in these pitfalls, so you don't randomly have a period of time where you're like, why am I just so bored of my training? Why am I just so bored of parkour? Parkour doesn't mean I'm gonna go do a Kong Pre, I'm gonna go do a Pre, I'm gonna do a 180. It means I'm gonna move in this space however the hell I can or cannot, and learn how to do that. And that is just a wealth of possibility and infinite novelty. Because you've connected to the phenomenological, you've removed the boxes, you've removed the labels. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this, I really would appreciate it if you subscribe if you haven't already. Really supports the channel, and I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if this is helping you, what you'd like to hear in the future, and all that good stuff to interact with the channel, because I'll reply to everybody and we'll get a conversation going. And I really appreciate everyone who does do that. And if you want to support the channel, we've now got a Patreon. So if you want to support by buying me a cup of coffee every month, you know, that would make a huge difference to the channel. I want to keep bringing this content to you. Like all I care about is passing on this freedom of parkour to other people and allowing people to experience that the way that I've come to experience it. So help me make this full time, and I will bring you the most amazing ideas you could possibly think of. I'll bring you everything I can. So if you do want to support us, head over to the Patreon. So how do you get into the phenomenological? Well, obviously, just to understand it, just to understand these ideas, that's going to be a great first step. That already unhooks your mind, and hopefully you're already starting to feel barriers come down in your brain, and you're starting to look around the room and really take it in for once, rather than, take in every shade, every light difference, every nook and cranny of texture, and not have all these immediate MetaTag labels. Hopefully you're doing that already. Hopefully that's started to seep in. What you can also do is go into a somewhat of a meditation. When you're out, you can do this when you do parkour, or you can do it right now. Just quiet your mind, take your attention to the tip of your nose and breathe in. Notice every sensation as it comes in and as it goes out. Feel into your hands, feel into your feet, where the floor is touching your feet, where the cushion is hitting your bum, where your skin ends and the air begins, what sounds are around, what's going into your ears. But just notice it, don't comment on it. There's no running commentary about these things. It's just move into the feeling. And pretty soon your entire consciousness will be taken up by just this noticing and just this awareness. And when that happens, fear really, really dissipates, and joy bursts through, and creativity bursts through. And the more you can practice being in this space, the more joy you're going to get, not just in parkour, but in absolutely everything with life. So practice this, the no commentary, just feeling the very connection, every sense that you have, and not even labeling them as senses. Feeling into that, and you do that before a jump, you do that before you go for a line, and it's going to be the best line you've ever done, because you aren't moving through the space with the meta tags running through your mind, like Kong, and then tic tac, and then slip, or that felt like this, and I'm doing this. And the thing is with the concepts is that you have a consistent concept of where you're at and what you're doing and who you are while you're doing it. And this is another massive danger. This is the next thing I need to go into is you, in the MetaTag world, you have a self-conception. And in that self-conception, you have ideas about what's good, what's bad, what level you should be at, frustration because you're not at a level that you think that you should be at, that the tags have labeled you as not lining up with. You have an idea of yourself, and you have an idea of what's acceptable, what's unacceptable. And you're constantly trying to make your idea of yourself, live up to these expectations. And man, if you want a faster way to cause depression and upset, there isn't one. That is the root cause. The expectation and comparison you have because of the labels you've built up, because of the ideas of what's good, what's bad, what's better, what's worse, because of the ideas you have about how long it should take you to do something, where you're at, where you've come from, where you should be at by now, what that says about you to the people that are around you. I'm training with some pros. I better make sure I'm doing my best stuff so that they think that I'm this type of person, and then I'll have their approval. You have got to drop this tag, this idea, this notion of yourself while you're doing parkour, because it's just going to cause you stress. It's just going to cause you pain. When you're doing a move and you can't quite do it, and then you beat yourself up for it because you should be better than this. Guys, it's not about that. It's never about that. I'm not saying don't try your best. I'm not saying don't get better. I'm not saying don't put 100% of your effort into this. But don't have expectations. Don't have comparisons. Don't have ideas of where you should and shouldn't be at. Just enjoy every movement. go into the phenomenological, feel what you're doing, enjoy every bit of the experience. Don't label it to check boxes off. The world is vast, the universe is vast, everything in it has infinite depth. And if you live on this one plane of wordy experience where everything just lives in the world, everything just lives by terms, how are you gonna drink water with the word cup? You can't. And if you live in MetaTag World, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get joy, extract joy from words and symbols that represent the reality that you're actually living in, rather than living in the reality, rather than experiencing the actuality. You're trying to experience it through words. You can't drink water out of the word cup. You can get a physical cup and drink it. But if you try and drink out of the word, you're gonna thirst. You're gonna die of thirst. Yeah, bit of a kooky metaphor, but hopefully it makes the point. Hopefully you haven't just found this ridiculous and woo-woo and spiritual or anything like that. This is concrete, this is direct experience. I wouldn't be messing around with it if it wasn't. Please take this on board, give it a try. Please understand that this is all direct experience for me. This is all me trying to allow you to find the happiness in everything you do. Yeah. Nothing else to say on that. Big love. I really hope you understood it. I really hope it came across. I really hope I explained it well enough for it to come across. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments and letting me know what you thought of this video and having a conversation down there. So big love, guys. I'll see you on Tuesday where you can see all this put into practice with our Parkour Journeys vlogs. If not, I'll see you next Thursday for the Think Tank Thursday. Big love, everyone. See you next week.